Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, most of the damage caused by Monday and Tuesday's storms affected Mississippi's residential areas, but there were a sizable number of chicken houses damaged or destroyed.
In Southern gardening today, marigolds. They may have been around for a long time, but that also means they're proven performers.
In the markets, U.S. rice exports to Mexico fall dramatically, while the latest cattle on feed report is considered a little friendly.
In the feature segment, electronic trading in the commodity markets. There is still some yelling going on in the trading pits, but it's largely been replaced by computer trading. There are advantages to that and disadvantages.
It used to be an advantage when we had all the open outcry transparency held down here where we could see the information and we had the knowledge. But now sometimes things happen and there's much more information floating around electronically where we're the fly on the windscreen per se. You know, we're the last guy to know. March!
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week. Well, it's surprising how much difference a week can make. Since we last met, rain, wind, and deadly tornadoes have left damage and indelible memories.
Artis, as of our recording time on Thursday, the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency reports the death toll in the state has risen to 13. Unfortunately, it will probably climb higher. Issaquena, Lee, and Rankin counties had at least one death in each. 9 deaths are blamed on the storm so far in Winston County, which is where Louisville is located. A child there is still missing at this point. MEMA reports storm damage occurred in 23 counties. At least 945 homes were destroyed or received major damage. More than 1,700 homes have been affected. 65 businesses were destroyed or sustained major damage. Wednesday evening, the Federal Emergency Management Agency declared 7 counties federal disaster areas: Itawamba, Lee, Lowndes, Madison, Rankin, Wayne, and Winston. This makes individuals and local governments eligible for federal assistance. Mississippi's poultry industry received a hit from the storms on both days. Andy Prosser with the Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce reports 61 chicken houses were damaged. On broiler operations, 32 houses were destroyed or sustained major damage. 22 received minor damage. On breeder operations, 4 houses were destroyed or received major damage. Power outages caused the deaths of more than 100,000 birds. Prosser said damage to the timber and other livestock operations is still under evaluation. Lowndes County Extension Agent Reed Nevins with the Mississippi State University Extension Service reported several center pivot irrigation rigs were damaged or destroyed by tornadoes. In Scott County, 1 poultry operation received a direct hit. The family's house was demolished. The husband and 2 children were cut by flying debris, but the wife was severely injured and had to be airlifted to the University Medical Center in Jackson. 1 chicken house was totally destroyed, with half of another carried away. The Mississippi Department of Employment Security says unemployment insurance benefits are available for those of you who cannot work because your workplace has been destroyed or closed temporarily. You can apply for this by going to a WIN Job Center or going online at mdes.ms.gov. Again, that's online at mdes.ms.gov. You can also call this number during regular business hours, 888-844-3577. Again, the phone number 888-844-3577. Information is also available at county offices of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. All sorts of information is online at msucares.com. Cleanup and repair, helping children deal with weather disasters, and determining timber casualty losses are just a few of the many topics covered.
The Farmweek cameras went to Louisville on Tuesday. The damage and mayhem were stunning even to this veteran reporter. Fortunately, Felicia Mitchell wasn't home when the tornado hit. It left no walls standing.
Yeah, I noticed.
The storm took the Mitchell's house off at the slab. This used to be a fireplace. It was so powerful, the suction, it even pulled the carpets up off the floor. Mitchell said she and her husband Bernard bought the home 4 years ago. Other than a few clothes, little has been found.
Round about that time when it happened, like it was a little bit after 4, because I don't get off from work until 4:30, so normally nobody would be at home. But I'm glad we didn't go home early, because if we did, me and my kids would have been here. Right now, they know that we don't have a home, so they're taking it well. They're 6 and 7, so they thinking about their toys.
The tornado continued its northeastern track, destroying part of the old Georgia Pacific Mill, which is now operated by Roseburg Forest Products. From there, it hit the Winston Medical Center, putting it out of commission. Cars were piled in the parking lot like so many toys. Out on Brooksville Road, the tornado did not hold back its fury. Now, many of you may have seen a photograph of this door on Twitter, Facebook, Weather Underground. Well, it was taken by our own Scott Lewis here of the University Television Center. He saw this fall out of the sky on the Mississippi State University campus Monday afternoon. As far as we know, it came from 25 miles to the south from the Louisville area. You can see here shingles embedded in the door. Once again, just an indication of the power of this storm. Now time for today's Southern Gardening. If you want to grow color in your flower garden, you do need a tried and true summer performer. Well, in this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman reintroduces us to the good old-fashioned marigold.
If you want to create an easy color splash, then you need to plant flowering annuals. There are lots of new selections with really bright colors in the garden centers to liven up your landscape. Today I'm at Rivers Greenhouse and Garden Center, and can you believe all this color? I'd like to share one of my longtime favorites, marigolds. For the hot summer weather, marigolds are a sure bet for great color. The African marigold, known botanically as Tagetes erecta, has beautiful pom-pom-like flowers. Yellow, like the flowers of these Inca 2, and orange, like these Moonsong Deep Orange, are popular choices. But believe it or not, there are even white flowers. The variety French Vanilla has creamy white flowers that will remind you of ice cream on a hot summer afternoon. The other marigold I always have in my garden are Tagetes patula, the French marigold. French marigolds have a broader color palette that includes reds and browns to go along with the yellow and orange. These Bonanza hybrids will grow to 10 inches tall and 8 inches wide. Bonanza has some of the largest flowers with diameters approaching 2 inches or greater. Marigolds are easy to grow. They don't need much fertilizer, but they do need consistent watering during dry spells. They love a lot of sunshine, but you will have to deadhead spent flowers to encourage additional blooming. A little known fact is marigold flowers are edible. Well, at least the petals are edible. Imagine using as a colorful confetti on your favorite recipe. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Back in the 1960s, David Burpee, president of Burpee, tried vigorously to get marigolds named the national flower, but in the end, roses won out. In the feature segment today, the sound of yelling in the commodity futures trading pits has been replaced by the clicking of a mouse. Is it better? Well, yes and no. Time now for the markets, though. Potential wheat damage or weather damage to wheat in the U.S. Is showing up in the Midwest.
But analysts believe the development is already dialed into the trading price that is in the market right now. Also ahead this week in our segment, U.S. rice exports to Mexico continue to slip. Near-term U.S. soybean supplies remain tight, while cattle placements are lower than expected. We begin in row crops, where U.S. rice's dominant position in the Mexico market is described this week as being under attack. During the first quarter of this year, total U.S. rice exports to Mexico were now reported to be down a whopping 27% from 1 year ago. The USA Rice Federation says part of the decline is a result of Mexico suspending import duties on rice, which erodes one edge the U.S. had over some competitors. Other factors at play include Vietnam and Thailand being allowed to undercut U.S. prices, and the fact that high-quality rice from Uruguay and Asia is making inroads in the Mexican market. As we produce this program Thursday morning, soybeans were trading 3 to 8 cents lower. Analyst Tom Fitzenmeyer says concerns about tight U.S. bean supplies right now may be unfounded.
The U.S. is an island of tightness. And so then you have to triangulate, okay, how's that going to get resolved? Because the rest of the world, there's plenty of beans. We're probably going to have plenty of beans this fall. So how does this little short-term thing get reconciled? Well, the Chinese are probably going to have some cancellations. There were some net cancellations both from unknown and China in this week's export sales report. You're going to see some pretty good imports coming in from Brazil and Argentina, and Canada is going to make up for it. And everybody's running around here worried about old crop. The funds are all long, all kinds of old crop. And I look at it and I go, okay, if that's so critical, how come the basis is 75 cents worse than it was a year ago? How come the May-July spread is at almost even money this week when it was $1.10 premium last? If it's so tight and end users are so out of beans, why is that situation? And the answer in my mind is that we're probably going to have enough beans. Most of those end users have figured out how they're going to make that work. So I'm not saying there's not more upside and the futures won't get carried away, but I think that high was probably put in that here a while back, and rallies there need to be sold.
Let's break from the markets to look at the trivia quiz for this week. An important centennial is coming up on May 8th. Here's our quiz question. What document established the Extension Service in Mississippi and the rest of the U.S. 100 years ago? Is the answer the Smith-Lever Act, or the Manhattan Act, or the Sarbanes-Oxley Act? I'll tell you at the end of the markets.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the rest of the markets. Leighton Spann brings us up to speed on the latest cattle on feed report. In the feature segment today, the flailing of arms has given way to the clicking of a computer mouse as commodity trading turns electronic.
From our family to yours, Mississippi's farmers believe the best produce and livestock are grown right here at home. With ms.foodsearcher.com, you're only a click away. Using your smartphone, you'll be connected to hundreds of families and small businesses dedicated to providing you with fresh, local foods. Produce, meats, fish, dairy, agritourism, community markets, and more are right at your fingertips, no matter where you are. ms.foodsearcher.com.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. Farmers interested in commercial strawberry production should attend a short course on Tuesday and Wednesday, May 13th and 14th. It will take place at the Choctaw Ag Complex just off Highway 16 in Neshoba County, west of Philadelphia. Attendance is free. Pre-registration is required, however, and we will have a link on our Farm Week website calendar to help you. This workshop is for commercial growers and not for home gardeners. The Mississippi Delta Community College at Moorhead is holding 2 weeks of agricultural production training. This is designed for training entry-level farm employees. It takes place for 2 weeks, May 26th through June 6th. The cost is $25. Today's tractors require knowledge of electronics to operate them. Participants will also get hands-on in the field instruction as well as instruction in maintenance and chemical handling. The deadline to register is May 15th. We will have the phone numbers on our Farm Week website calendar. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
We move into livestock now, and the lead story this week is the recent cattle on feed report. Extension economist Brian Williams has some analysis. Well, Brian, if you had to give a headline to that April 25th on feed report, what would that be?
Well, I think I'd say something to the tune of cattle supplies tighten for for U.S. feedlots, and I think that'd be a pretty accurate depiction of the entire report.
So how were placements running as of April 1st?
Placements were down about 5% from a year ago at just under 1.8 million head, and that was down towards the bottom end of what our expectations were.
Could that possibly indicate maybe pasture conditions had improved some in other parts of the country especially?
Potentially. Here in the southeast, the pastures look good. There's some other states like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska in those plains that they're still in a bit of a drought, but I think they're looking better than a couple years ago.
Now what about the total number of cattle on feed as of April 1st?
Total number was also down about 1%, and again that was towards the low end of what the expectations were.
Now, I understand also the heifer number was also down as far as when we look at total U.S. inventory. Could that possibly indicate some herd expansion beginning?
It could. Heifer placements were down 6%, but steer placements were up 2%. And so what the market was saying bring in some more cattle. And the producers were saying, okay, we're going to give you the steers, but we want to expand our herd. And we're going to keep our heifers here on the farm.
Okay, can we draw any inference from these numbers in this report as far as at the retail meat counter whether beef appears to be moving or not moving, especially in the face of what are higher retail prices right now?
Well, looking I guess from a consumer perspective, it carries on to some other numbers. The marketings were down 4%, which was around expectations, but that means there's less beef on the market. And so it's helping to keep our prices high and well above what they were a year ago. So but the demand, there was also a survey that had come out over the last week from Oklahoma State, and that's saying that the demand is still there, even with these higher prices.
And any likely crossover from this report to feeder cattle, to what impact there might be there?
It has had a positive price impact across the board. We've seen feeder cattle be real bullish over the last few weeks, same with fed cattle. So it's really had a positive impact across the board on prices.
Before our feature story, let's check out the trivia answer for this week. The correct choice is A. 2014 marks the 100th anniversary of the Smith-Lever Act, which formalized the Cooperative Extension Service.
We're used to seeing pictures of commodity traders frantically waving their hands in the trading pits at the commodity exchanges. Trading changed dramatically in 2007 when the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and the Chicago Board of Trade merged to form the CME Group, the world's largest and most diverse trading exchange. There are still guys in colorful jackets doing business the old-fashioned way, but computerized transactions are the dominant method of trading now. Market to Market's David Miller reports there are advantages and disadvantages to this change.
Shouts can still be heard on the floor of the Chicago Board of Trade at 141 West Jackson, but nothing in comparison to the cacophony of the past. Most of the open outcry trading has left the futures ring and now takes place in the options pit. The rest of the action at the world's oldest futures exchange has been reduced to a little more than a mouse click.
It used to be an advantage when we had all the open outcry transparency held down here where we could see the information and we had the knowledge. But now sometimes things happen and there's much more information floating around electronically where we're the fly on the windscreen per se. You know, we're the last guy to know.
March 434.21 by 2 put spread.
Scott Shellady has been a commodities trader for more than 25 years. A second-generation floor trader, Shellady owns one of the 3,600 seats or memberships on the CBOT, allowing him to trade on the floor. Memberships come with various trading rights on the exchange, but only 1,400 are considered to be full seats. The price of a seat hit an all-time high of $3.2 million in 2006, but prices have declined 92% over the past 8 years to $265,000. And Shellady says the reasons for owning a seat have changed dramatically.
Maybe for actually trading costs at the exchange level, it's an advantage. We trade at a cheaper price as far as the tax that we pay the exchange. But other than that, where it used to be something as an advantage for information, it's not anymore.
These days, Shellady does nearly all of his business electronically, which allows him to trade more than just agricultural commodities. However, he does note the advantages and disadvantages of both spending time in a desk chair and shouting in the trading pits.
Because the customers want both things. They want trade certainty. Am I filled? Am I filled? Am I done? Am I done? Have I done the actual, has my broker executed what I want him to do? And I want to know yesterday. But at the same time, they want to know what everybody else is doing. So if I do that on the open outcry market, I can tell them what everybody else is doing, or I can tell them upstairs electronically, yes, you're done, you're filled, I've done what you wanted me to do. Well, who else is doing what I want to do? I don't know, I just put it into a machine. So for speed, you lose, speed is less transparent. Slower is more transparent. So we can all see what everybody's doing a little slower and disseminate that information, or we can do it really fast upstairs and nobody knows what anybody's doing.
The first electronic trades were made in 1992 on the CME Globex trading platform. Use of the program was limited by computing power and bandwidth. Today, those hurdles have largely been overcome, making it possible to buy and sell anywhere a data connection is available. According to the CME Group, more than 90% of agricultural futures and nearly 55% of agricultural options transactions are no longer executed in the commodity pits. The trend can be seen across the entire exchange as the number of people in the grain and livestock rings diminishes. But as the number of people trading on the floor has declined, the number of opportunities to make trades has increased. In April of last year, the 165-year-old exchange combined the traditional 4 hours of open outcry with 17 hours of simultaneous electronic trading. The new hours allowed the CBOT and CME to reach a volume of more than 265 million futures and options contracts in 2013. This is down 8% from the heavily drought-influenced record trading year of 2012.
I can remember after the close of the grains, and any given day you could go downstairs to the bar or up to your office and sit around and talking about corn, soybeans, and wheat for a couple hours, just soaking up knowledge and comparing notes. You can't really do that anymore. I think that that's been the big loss, and I'm sorry to see that part of it go. On the one side, I can get quicker and better and cleaner executions for myself and my customers, but on the other side, I've lost access to a lot of knowledge that's very, very hard to replace.
Jack Scoville began as a runner on the Chicago Board of Trade in 1981 and worked his way up to being a floor trader. Scoville left the trading ring in 1990 and has been trading electronically for the Price Futures Group since 1992.
The open outcry is a lot more fun, a lot more action, a lot of excitement that you don't really get sitting here in an office, but we can trade with much more certainty. When we get filled price, we know it's a filled price.
While Scoville laments the loss of comradeship in the trading ring, he does point up the advantages of the new trading landscape.
I can remember 30 years ago when I was having to call Brazil for the company I was working at the time, and it could take me a half hour to get a phone line, and then I'd have to try and keep it open all day long. Now I can just call the guys up from wherever I am around the world. I can tell you that I've spent time riding in the back seats of pickup trucks in Central America, passing orders from Brazil to Chicago for my clients.
The CME Globex electronic trading platform also allows for some traders to make a large number of trades in millionths of a second. CME officials have yet to break out how much of the trading volume is made via the practice of high-frequency trading, and they are quick to point out that the most important thing is the integrity of their markets for each and every participant. How and where all the information is gathered and used has changed. In the past, floor traders reacted to the peaks and valleys of various trading cycles. They would often trade in ways that are sensitive to harvest lows, weather trends, and key government reports. But with all the information readily available on the internet, tech-savvy traders can shift the market in unexpected directions.
So there may be a trader in India that doesn't know about those cycles. And so they'll trade against them. If you have enough people doing a one-lot trade, that can be a big trade. And if just so happens they all do it at the same time, you might see there's rain on the horizon for corn. Corn prices should be going down, but enough people have bought a one-lot from somewhere else in the world that the market's rallying. So we have to be careful about what's actually happening and slowly but surely somehow take the noise out.
And as more and more commodities on the CME group are traded electronically, Shellady believes it's important to balance knowledge and experience against the pressure of changing times.
You could shoot a cannon through here and not hit anybody. So yeah, it's nowhere near what it used to be. And ultimately, that's not the exchange to decide or the traders to decide. The customer will decide when and if he or she wants to do the business 100% electronically. But right now, there's enough customers that do call people and we execute in the pit. So as long as that's the same, it'll still stay open.
For Market to Market, I'm David Miller.
Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, a catfish farm and processing plant where taste is everything.
At Pride of the Pond of Tunica, Mississippi, certified on flavor is more than a trademark. It's what drives the company. Pride of the Pond says it's what keeps their customers returning for more.
In Southern gardening, tweener time. It's the time when your winter flowers are finishing and your spring ones are coming on. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.